All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I, of course, am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very, very special guest for you. Joining me all the way from Montreal, Canada, please put your hands together for Trent out loud.
What up?
What's going on, brother?
I'm very good. How are you?
I am great. First of all,
Nice.
Welcome to the platform. All right?
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
No problem. Now, let me just give people a backstory,
Okay.
not that much of a backstory because we're going to talk about a lot of this today, but
For
you
sure.
are a entrepreneur
Yes,
and
sir.
an author, okay? But not
Yes,
just
sir.
any type of entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Like sneaker life, all my sneaker heads or J's, gym shoes, whatever you want to call them, okay? I mean, man, all right? But yes, we're talking about fashion. We're talking about running your business today. We're talking about mental health, which is key. And we're talking about beginnings, okay? So, as I mentioned before, you are a author. You have authored
Yes.
2 books, okay?
Yes, sir.
Basically, how sneakers saved my life and how sneakers ruined my life. Can you
Yes,
just
sir.
give us a little tidbit on those books there, sir?
First of all, thanks a lot for having me on your show. Really appreciate it. First book is really, starts out as me as a, teenager, kind of finding himself, getting into retail, and opening stores, and it ends off of me becoming and having a national brand. And then book 2 is, so that's kind of like the rise. And then book 2, How Sneakers Ruined My Life, is more about the ups and downs and the intricacies and the difficulties of entrepreneurship, and kind of like the, the downward side of my business, where I had to close some stores, had to reconstruct my business, and lose a bunch of money in the process, only to bring myself back up. And book 2 ends right like as the pandemic hits, like literally like March 16th, 2020, the shutdown, and the book ends there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now,
If that doesn't make you want to get the books, then I don't know what will.
And that's what I was going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. Like,
Yeah.
that just sounds like, that sounds like a movie. Okay? Like,
exactly.
Seriously, like, we just want to know what happens next.
Exactly.
But it's something that maybe not for all, but for a lot of people is relatable because, as you said, March 16th, 2020, man, that changed a lot of
Everything.
people's lives,
For sure.
And before we really, dig deep into sneaker culture, just tell us a little bit more about your upbringing and your background.
So I'm a descendant of Jamaican parents, first generation Canadian. And my background was pretty much like most, I think, West Indian, kids growing up in Canada, where your parents are, from Jamaica. They did what they had to do to get themselves here to Canada, and they themselves are trying to adjust while trying to raise a child in Canada that they don't know anything about. So, exactly, right? So, I talk about it in the book where like my father and my mom, end up getting divorced, and, that effect that had on me. My father was still in the home, but I had a very difficult relationship with him. Beyond the spanking and scolding, there was like, some physical, and verbal, abuse in the household, which was hard to deal with. I ended up leaving, moving out at 17 years old, getting myself into trouble. So I kind of had the typical kind of, upbringing, but I kind of just, delinquified it a little more than the average person. Because everybody grows up with some sort of bullshit, I just, typical Trent style, had to take it to the next level.
Yeah, okay, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, pretty much as you said, that's typical, especially here in the States. I can tell you, just growing up in, a city like Chicago, you're going to have, there's going to be ebbs and flows, okay?
Exactly.
So you just have to figure out where you fit in and make the best of your situation, okay?
Exactly.
But now, let me just ask, though, as a child of Jamaican parents, the level of success, can vary from generation to generation. As you said, West Indian, Trinidadian, like, you know, I have friends of all these nationalities or what have you, and I can tell you, like, you know, in certain cultures, especially old school, you know, oh, you're going to become a doctor, you're going to become this, you're going to go to school and do this, that, and the other. So let me just ask, how did your family view your desires to be your own boss?
They hated it. Like I said, it's not, as I realized as I got older, it's not their fault. It's that they, coming from Jamaica, moving to Canada, you're just like, hold on, you have an opportunity for education, you have an opportunity for schooling, you had all the opportunities that I didn't have, and I made these sacrifices to bring you here. Why the hell would you drop out of school and, you know, try to start your own business, you know? So, exactly. So, but, you know, like, lovingly, they for sure, you know, would have my back, especially my mom. But, you know, as an older adult now, I understand why it was nerve-wracking for them. But for me, it's just who I am. And I talk about entrepreneurship all the time. And I'm just like, you can learn things in school and you can have an MBA and you could, you know, do anything you want. But certain entrepreneurs and certain things, it's just in you. It's just who you are, you know? So I couldn't run for who I am, you know?
Hey, look here, man. Look, brother, you preaching to the choir, okay?
Exactly.
Look, seriously, like, I have a thing called, does a degree equal education? And as you said, look, you can go through school, get all these, you know, accolades or what have you, but when you come out, you really have to live in the real world, and that's something that school doesn't teach you, you know.
Exactly.
And, you know, if you have the, you know, gusto to go for it, you know, like, hey, I'm just gonna go for mine. I don't need this, that, and the other, because the only way I'm gonna learn is if I'm out here doing it myself.
And instinct, right? There's schooling can't teach you instinct. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying not to go to school. One of my regrets is that I didn't go to school, and there's a lot of things that I could have avoided, like I talk about in How Sneakers Ruined My Life. There's things I could have avoided if I had gone to school. But the things that school didn't teach me were innate to me were things like instinct, which you can't learn from an MBA.
Come on now. Come on, man. Come on, Trent. Come on, man. Look. And as he said, and as I'm saying, no, we're not clowning education. Education, yes, is key. Please get your education. But there are just certain things that, man, you're just not going to learn in school that you're just going to learn out here in the real world. So there it is. All right. So let's talk about this landscape of sneaker culture, okay? Because as we were talking before, I could talk about sneaker culture here in the States all day long, but on an international level that a lot of us here in the States don't really get to, you know, hear about, or sometimes really recognize, I will almost say, to a degree. You know, man, the sneaker culture definitely, I could tell you, or you know this, I don't have to tell you, you know this, within the last 10 years itself, has just changed dramatically.
Night and day.
Man, night and day, okay? Like, look, oh, God. But let me just ask, in your opinion, what was sneaker life like in Canada before you got in versus now?
So, like 20 years ago, sneaker, just to give it a little tidbit, because a lot of people think Canada is so different from the US. You know, 10 years ago, whatever we were going through, you were going through. We were very aligned. There's like 20, 25 years ago, we were totally off. But 10 years ago, it's exactly what you guys were going through. It was the love of sneakers. You knew the history. You bought sneakers because you loved it. Sure, there were some people who maybe like would get a shoe and like resell it for, I don't know, $50, $100 max. There was none of this like $1,500. I'm only buying it so I can resell. Like that just never existed when I started, like at all. It was the love. It was their community. You knew people, you know, so there was more love and there was more depth to it 10 years ago.
You know what? Yes, and yes. Like, I can just tell you, you know, I'm a Nike SB head. I love Nike SBs, okay?
Yes.
And I can tell you the shift, okay? Like, when, like, there was a point in time when you can go into your local skateboard store and you can get whatever type of SB you wanted. And I'm going to say this, around the time when MF Doom did his thing for, Cartoon Network, I believe that's what it was. That's when things started to switch.
Exactly.
That's when the whole turn. I'm like, whoa, you mean I can't get these? Like, I was just in here 2 weeks ago. You don't have these anymore? So I come, man, I'll be back a month from now. So you're telling me the wall that used to be full of shoes, I can't even get those? Go back 6 months. Wait a minute, you don't even know when the shipment's coming in a year later. Oh, man, we don't even have those anymore. Go to this website.
Yes. What? Yeah, that's unheard of. Or an app or something like that. No, it's completely night and day.
And pretty much as you were talking about the reselling as well, like, look, I don't understand why am I buying a shoe for $1,500 when the shoe itself is $125. But
exactly,
that's neither here nor there. Okay, but now, man, I want you to talk to us about being a small retailer, working with major brands like Nike and Adidas. Like, how did you position yourself to be in business with icons such as Nike and Adidas?
So super important question, because a lot of people out there are like, yo, like, I could do this. I could get a Nike account. I could have a sneaker boutique. Like, it's very, very hard. And it took me 5 years of very low profitable business to be able to get a Nike account. And now it will be even 10 times harder than that. So I didn't just open up as a sneaker boutique. I started out selling long tees and do-rags out the trunk of my car, driving down to New York, driving to Manhattan. It's a 7-8 hour drive, driving them back out here. So I went from the trunk of my car to a basement of a tattoo shop, then my first brick and mortar store. And I started in apparel, very, very low end, jeans for $40. Like I said, long tees, $10, those West Indian flags and whistles and car steering wheels. That's how I started out, bro. But when you can go back to Nike and you could show them your evolution, that's when people want to mess with you, right? So people think like I could just open up and like, well, I have $1 million, I'm going to open up. No, Nike, especially at that time, they needed to see that you were in the community. They needed to show that you were, of the community and understood the demographic that you worked in. And selling long tees and do-rags to high school kids, they would come in my shop and remember, oh, that's Trent. He used to drive to my high school. So that was really important. And that's because these billion-dollar companies, the thing that they can't get is like to touch and feel, their customer. So us as the retailer, we are able to do that, So yeah, it was really just cementing myself in my, my neighborhood and being the man, being the plug in the neighborhood, and then, just good business, starting from long tees and do-rags and then stepping up and getting small brands, well, not small brands, but, like Rockaware, Darion, like the hip hop brands or whatever. Rockaware is small compared to Nike, obviously, right? So when you show, it's like a credit card, it's like getting a mortgage. You can't just go in and get a mortgage. You need to get a credit card. It starts out at $500, then you get to $5,000, then 10, then you get a lot of credit, and then they'll trust you with a half a million dollar mortgage. So I was able to get those brands through a lot of hard work, man. A lot of hard work.
So let me just say, you just spoke the truth, okay? Because I think a lot of people, seriously, like, social media can have it where people really think this is some fly-by-night type of stuff.
Of course.
And it really isn't. As you said, man,
you
were selling do-rags and long tees out the trunk, Then moved to a tattoo shop. After the tattoo shop, you eventually ended up getting a brick-and-mortar store. But the main thing is you always stayed in the community and you made sure you had the necessities that people, needed at the point in time. So, as you said, starting off with apparel. I just didn't start off with, man, look, I just didn't call up Nike one day and be like, hey, ship over 1,500 pairs of shoes and I'm going to sell these shoes and then, you all will come back later. No, you have to start small, build yourself up. And as you said, you have to have that equity. Man, like, look, I'm building. I'm building.
Exactly.
This is what I've done this. So I can do this for you as well.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people fail to, like, realize. A lot of times it's about your pitch and your marketing. All right?
For sure.
And if you don't have that together out the gate, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Okay? I mean... Come on.
And just to add to that, when I was established and I felt like I could get the Nike and Adidas account and Timberlands, they all said no. And you as a sneakerhead, you'll know this, is that my first shoe I ever sold was a Rockwear boat shoe. But then the actual first sneaker brand that I signed on to was Supra. Remember Supra?
Ooh.
No, SBs, you know Supra.
Yes.
So exactly. So that was my first footwear brand that I carried. And then once I had Supra and I was selling a bunch of Supras here around Montreal, then I was able to get Vans. Then I was able to get Puma, and then the Adidas, and then Nike. So Nike said no. Then I established myself as a footwear, company, and then I was able to get Nike and Adidas. You got to do the work. When you want to be on top, you got to climb the ladder. You can't skip. And not only that, but I learned so much through making mistakes with Supra and Vans, whatever. Now when I got Nike, I knew what to do. I knew how to handle myself.
Super key.
Supers, boy, you didn't. Boy, that's old school.
Yeah, super old school.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know what? I have a story for that, but that's for another time. But
Okay.
but no. But you are hitting on key factors because, as I said, a lot of times we get caught up in the hype and thinking we can just, do whatever. Well, hey, this kid, he moved 1,500 boxes or whatever. Yeah, but you don't really know you don't know where the kid got, his
exactly.
inventory from. We don't know if it's like authentic or not, because that's a lot of stuff going around now on certain sites. I'm not going to name no names, but, it's an X, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
hey, I'm just saying, but anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
But so now, look, you have established your business, man, things are finally going the way you want them to go, but I can imagine it being very, very stressful, trying to run your own business, trying to build your brand up, man, talk about your battles with mental health and building a multi-million-dollar brand.
All right. So this is now book 2, How Sneakers Ruined My Life. At this point I have 10 doors. I started to kind of see the signs a little bit earlier in 2015, 16, a little voice in your head, like, what am I doing this for? I don't seem like I'm, okay, I have money, but am I happy? And then you start questioning things. And then as that was coming along, the sneaker industry took another shift. And that was when, Kanye West left Nike for Adidas, and then you had the jump in Adidas, but then the decline in Nike, and even that jump is not going to replace the decline in Nike. So I started having some money issues, maybe start closing some stores. Jordan started tier 0. And things started getting pretty bad for me. And I've had some, through my past, teenage years, I had some instances where I had to go see a psychologist. We won't get back into that. So I just thought maybe I'll go to a psychologist. And I went, and after a couple of sessions, he brought up the possibilities of having hypomanic episodes, which would be a derivative of bipolar disorder. And I right away, like most men, or especially Black men, like, what? No problem with me. A disorder? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why I tried this therapy thing, and I bounced. And that should have been the tail right there, because something that you're going to run from is because you're too afraid to face it, and it's probably fucking true, right?
Come on.
So then I left, and things continued to be pretty bad for me. And then I'll talk about it more in book 3, but then through the pandemic, I was able to go back to therapy because I was sitting down just in my house by myself and I couldn't run anywhere. So, I call back up my therapist, and, I have been diagnosed with having bipolar disorder, having manic episodes and hypomanic episodes. And I'm dealing with it now, much better than I did in 2018. And it's not to say that my business is what caused my disorder. It could have, we don't know where that started, right? Could have been in my 20s, could have been in your teens. But definitely, the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows in business is definitely something that's triggering for me. And I'm sure it's triggering for a lot of people out there. And that's why I'm such a big mental health advocate right now. And I recommend every single person, whether you are happy, sad, whatever it is going through your life, just that check in to just make sure everything is okay. And then if you get, some possible, diagnoses, not to run from it. But I'm learning, and I'm in a better place today.
Well, A,
thank you.
B, let me just say yes. Okay,
Yes,
man.
Yeah,
It's sort of like having a car. Sometimes your brain, your emotions are like a car. If you want the car to run smooth, well, sometimes, you're gonna have to take it in for a checkup.
That's exactly what I say. Oh my gosh, dude, I love you, bro.
Come on, man.
What I say. Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
You know, like, who wants a Bentley that doesn't run?
Exactly.
All right? Who wants a Ferrari that won't go over 25?
Exactly.
I don't.
Me neither.
So, but no.
Yeah.
Some key factors you hit on. Now, we don't take for granted. Now, as I said, sneaker culture has changed a lot in the last 10 years. And you just brought up something huge. Okay, the Kanye Nike versus Adidas war. And we're talking about a time when, this is before Air Jordan was reselling Jordans in many different colors. And, we have this theme and that theme and this theme. Jordan actually went through a downward phase. Nike went through a downward phase because they didn't have a signature shoe at that point in time that would make people just really come out and do, you know what, I gotta buy these. Even the Yeezy Red Octobers, when they first came out, okay, I don't, needless to say, I didn't think years later, hey, you know what, you got $10,000, you can buy this shoe. What?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's a down payment on a house. What are you talking about?
We knew it was going to be big, but not to the levels where it's at now at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But no, that is something, that's something you have to consider because especially now, like, we have so many people with different brands, like even like New Balance. I'm thinking about a Joe Fresh Goods. I'm thinking about Shalehi Brimby. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. But, like, people have come in and put their own signature stamps on certain brands, which makes the shoe game a little bit more complicated now. Because if you want to get a certain type of shoe, as I said before, you just can't go onto the website, order the shoe. Oh, okay, I have it. No. You have to go to an exclusive site or an app, and sometimes you may have to bid. Sometimes you're going to have to pay that cash. So it is what it is. So, okay. So now let me ask, okay? Now, man, and you sort of hit on it a little bit, but we got 2 books out now. A third one is coming. But let me just ask, why do you believe now is the time for your voice and your story to be heard by millions?
It was really the pandemic, really. Like, I've wanted to write a book like 13 years ago, and it was like a how-to book, like how to live your truth or how to start a business. And it just really wasn't connecting. It wasn't sounding right. So I just kind of think it was just really just good timing. I think this point in my story, having the up and the down and now finding the middle is a good time to kind of talk about it. So I think kind of like everything just kind of came together. Also too, for my 15-year anniversary of the store, I really wanted to focus, thank you. I really wanted to focus on just giving back to people. And I've always wanted to give back, but I've always been so busy and I kind of just didn't know how. I just didn't want to just have like a charity and it just be something, just not knocking charities or anything, but I just wanted to do something different. And I just feel like these books are kind of like, somebody just did a book review and it's like, if you want to open up a sneaker boutique, or even if you want to open up any business, this is a great blueprint for young entrepreneurs, So it's just my way to kind of just give back to the sneaker community, to the young, demographic out there that's kind of just looking to being like, what do I want to do? I dropped out of school. I got myself in trouble. There's not much for me out here. Pick up my books and I talk about it. I'll be able to identify with a lot of things that I've gone through. And, I didn't take no for an answer, and I just kept on trucking. So hopefully I can inspire people out there.
Hey, informational content. Those are 2 words I use all the time. Informational content.
Facts.
And I'm going to say this too. Trent, like, I talk about when we leave this realm here, this earthly realm, about leaving empty. You don't want to leave full of regrets. You don't want to leave
Facts.
full of whatever. You want to be empty, okay?
For sure.
And to me, your story, and even though there's a part 3 coming, but if you get these books, seriously, as you said, there's a young person out there right now, okay?
Yep.
Going through all kinds of things that you and I probably went through as teenagers or whatever, trying to figure out life. Hey, I really like these over here, or I really like this music over here, or I really like certain types of fashion over here, but I just need to figure out a way to make that work for me. Man,
yes.
how sneakers saved my life and how sneakers ruined my life, okay? I'm just telling y'all right now. And real quick, how do people purchase the books? Where can they go to purchase the books? And also, how can people get in contact with you if they just want to, learn more about you?
Perfect. So both books are available on Amazon Prime. So you order that right now, it gets you next day. Shout out to Jeff Bezos. And so independent. So, support your boy, self-published. And you could also find me. Thank you. You could also find me on my handles at Trent Out Loud on Instagram and all the other social platforms. And I'm working on my website soon to come, trentoutloud.com.
Okay. All right. Hey,
yes, sir.
That website coming, y'all. TrentOutLoud.com is coming. All right. But hey, go on Amazon. Yeah. Purchase the books. Leave a great review. Those 4 stars. Yes. Go ahead and push the 4 or 5 stars. I know, man. Look, we talking about Amazon. I know at least half y'all out there with an Amazon account right now. Okay. Shopping, doing whatever. But that's okay. That's a story for a whole nother show. All right. But man, we've come to the last question, the question that my show is known for, so I would love to present it to you. Mr. Trent Out Loud, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Whew. One word, resilient. Because no matter what happens, it could be my books not working, it could be my stores, it could be anything. On the inside flat, there was a social worker that wrote a foreword, and she said, Trent turns every period in his life into a comma. That was powerful, right? When she said that, I'm like, could you write a foreword to my book? So, I'm never going to stop. And, no matter what I do, it's only the beginning for me, man. So that's me, resilience.
Hey, look here. Testimony will be my word because, man, you're here giving it. And, it's something I know I can relate to. And I know it's something a whole bunch of other people can relate to. And it's real, and if you can't draw any, personal, views from that, then I don't know what to tell you people.
Exactly.
Maybe y'all need to get a life. I don't know. Anyway, but no, man, brother, first and foremost, once again, I thank you for being my guest. I thank you for coming on the platform, speaking your truths. And man, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Follow me, all social media outlets at Word with Ty Brownlow, or go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Get this wonderful, wonderful interview, plus other great interviews as well. Trent Out Loud. We out. Peace.